Hi, I'm Gormley and welcome to my channel.
While I have a little flat circle going, let's do some hat math, shall we? So when we are designing a hat or trying to see if we can make a hat that's going to fit our intended recipient, we can do some math. Now, I admit I don't really do this. I just pretty much eyeball it. I try hats on. I don't generally do the math, but you can do the math if you want. So I have the start of a flat circle here. I did a little video on how to make a flat circle earlier, so check that out in my description box below or check out the playlist. So remember from high school geometry or 8th grade geometry or whenever you learned it, that the circumference of a circle is pi r squared. Now remember, the r is the radius, and the radius is from the center of the circle out to the side. So the diameter is double that, so the r squared is the diameter. For this circle, the diameter is just about 3.5 inches. I'm going to call it 3.5. Now, yarn is not as precise as like a geometry proof. So I'm going to go ahead and call it 3.5. And so there is a little bit of fudging wiggle room that happens with yarn, but that's okay because yarn stretches and bends, and so it's only as exact as it's going to be. So in this case, our diameter, our r squared, is 3.5. Pi is always the same. Pi is 3.14. So if we take pi r squared, which is 3.14, times the diameter, which is 3.5, our answer with the calculator is 10.99 inches. So if we round that to 11, so the point is, at this point in our circle, if we were to stop increasing and instead work one stitch for one stitch and work evenly for the rest of the hat, the finished circumference of this hat would be 11 inches. So this hat, this size, would only fit a person with a head of 11 inches. So that is tiny. So that is not big enough for an adult hat. It's really not even big enough for a child hat. It might be big enough for a preemie hat. You'd have to look at the standards for the head circumference of preemies. For an adult woman's hat, the circumference is somewhere closer to 21 inches. So to get to 21 inches, our flat circle, before we start working evenly, so we need to increase to that point and then work evenly, our diameter actually needs to be closer to 6 inches, which is roughly double this to get to 21. So our diameter across our flat circle needs to get up to almost 6 inches or so, and then we'll do the math and measure again and see if that's going to fit an adult. Now this helps if you're making a hat for, say, your uncle across the country and you can't measure his head. Maybe he has a measuring tape at home and can measure his circumference for you. And if he can do that, great. Then you know a little bit about how to get up to the right size to fit him. Remember, crochet also stretches a bit and you want it to hug usually a hat. So you want it maybe to be a slightly smaller so that it holds on tight. Or if you have no idea the recipient's hat, maybe you're making hats for the homeless and you don't know who your intended recipient is going to be, but you know you want to make some women's size hats and some men's size hats, then you know you need to get around 21 inches for a woman's head, 22 inches for a man's head, and that will help you understand when to stop making the flat circle and when to start working evenly to create the right circumference that's going to fit. So that's a little bit of hat math for you. I'd like to give a shout out to Jana K, Miriam M, Sandra T, and Christy G. I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on a little bit of hat math for crochet. Take care. Thanks.